Om Shri Sai Ram. My most loving and humble salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. To all my most loving sisters and brothers who have made this particular journey a possibility and who have invited me here for the 100th episode of Sai Ke Sang. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In the spirit of samasta lokaha sukhino bhavantu, we all gather here to offer our deepest and most loving gratitude at the lotus feet of our most beloved Mother Sai. As Sister Vaishala was telling, there are certain moments in our lives which are the defining moments of our lives, where the perspective of our life just undergoes a permanent transformation, never to be same again. And when we are with Swami, such moments are many. And these moments, these experiences that we have are not just meant for an individual, they are meant for the entire humanity for all times to come. Because there are the assets of the humanity. And it is every individual's bounded responsibility that these experiences, these moments of love, these moments of awareness, these moments of revelation must be shared with everyone across the globe. And that is why I am so happy that Swami has made available this loving opportunity for me to be able to share some of these defining moments of my life. I will start. I would today like to recount a few of my experiences when I joined for MBA in Bhagwan's institution in the year 1997. The first experience that comes to my mind is, the first interaction with Swami. And we were all sitting in the portico and the warden had told us to pick up the prasadam boxes. Swami had come to Puttaparthi on the 16th of June. And this was one of the first opportunities, for me as a student to go a little physically close to Bhagwan. Of course, my heart was crying for his presence. My heart was yearning for an interaction with him. And when the warden told me to take the boxes and distribute prasadam, I was very happy. So whatever the prasadam boxes, 2 boxes were left over. And he told us to wait outside the interview room. And the moment Swami allows, we can go inside and keep them in the box room, the corner room, as it is called. After Swami's interview room, there is a Almirah room. After Almirah room is the box room or the corner room, after which is Swami's dining hall. And then Swami will, come back after when the Aarti starts. Swami just goes in, finishes his dinner in a matter of 30 seconds, and then Swami comes out. So this is the corner room is very important. So we were all waiting here. And as all of you know who are from Delhi, that it was a long struggle for me to be able to become a student of Bhagwan. And I applied to the institution for allowing me to write an entrance examination 6 times. Because in 1992, Bhagwan had told me that he will give me a seat in MBA. And here I was after 6 years waiting outside the interview room door with this half-empty prasadam box to be kept inside the corner room. So Swami comes out and, instead of walking back to the Yajur Mandir, that time to Poornchandra, Swami looks directly at me and, the same way he told me in Vrindavan in 1992, "Hey, Delhi boy." I said, "Yes, Swami." "Good boy, Swami." Exactly the way he told me in Vrindavan. Parag is an evidence of that because he was sitting next to me. And Swami called me a little closer. So I took along with the box, I went and then I kept the box next to Swami's lotus feet. And then I looked upon him with my folded eyes, so glad to be so physically close to Bhagwan, looking at him really for the first time with such close quarters, the fragrance of Swami's body and, the beauty of his face and the aura of the hair around him and the beautiful smile and the mole on his cheek. It was just an amazing moment for me. And then Swami said, "Kahan se aaya?" I said, "Just now Swami told me Delhi boy." He said, "Swami, I came from the Mothers International School, and Sri Aurobindo Ashram." And Swami said, yes, Delhi boy. He said, "Swami, because this particular question was bubbling in my mind for a long time. that every year on 24th of November since 1926, the year that Swami was born, the day after Swami was born, Sri Aurobindo came out after more than 10-12 years of deep meditation, and he declared to the entire devotees present in his ashram in Pondicherry and said, celebrate, because this is the victory day. The Krishna consciousness has taken a human birth on earth. And that is why my years of sadhana, my penance and my prayers have today been fulfilled. And Krishna consciousness is born, and we must celebrate. So this question was ringing, because in our ashram or in the Mothers International School, they never talk about Bhagwan Baba as the avatar or, the Krishna consciousness taken birth in human form. So this question was ringing in my mind. So I told Swami, I came from the Sri Aurobindo school, and, Swami, every year we celebrate 24th of November as a day of victory, because that particular day, the day after you were born, Sri Aurobindo declared to the entire world that Krishna consciousness has taken birth in human form. The avatar has come. And I said, Swami, Sri Aurobindo knew about that you are an avatar, that you are God. And then Swami just pulled my cheek and said, yes, that I am God is the truth, but only half the truth. The other half of the story is that you are also God. That you are also God. But the only problem is that I know it and you don't have faith in these words of mine. Always think that you are one with Swami. Always feel that you are one with Swami within. And then you also will realize. First interaction with Swami, and what a message Swami gave that really started defining the entire stay of mind in Swami's presence. We also are God. We also are divinity within. We also should feel that we are one with Swami within us. Though the body and the mind and the intellectual coverings, the sheets may be different. Of course, we are composed of so many different sheets. This particular whole body is made of food that we eat. It is the Annamaya Kosha. Then we have the Manomaya Kosha. The subtle part of the food becomes the mind. And then we have the Pranamaya Kosha, the breath. Then we have the Vijnanamaya and the Anandamaya Koshas. So we are traveling from the gross to subtle. The only subtlest and the truest part of our being is that we are Anandamaya Koshas. We are the embodiment of bliss that Swami is. We are Swami when he says that bliss is my food, bliss is also our food. But how many of us really think about that particular aspect, that how much food to our bliss sheath are we providing? How many times are we happy, really happy for no reason? Because bliss is consistent, continuous, unending, ever-increasing happiness without any damn reason. How many of us can be really happy and blissful without a reason? Somebody said, Swami, I want your grace. And Swami said, I will take away all that you have. I will take away the food from your mouth. I will take away all your notions from your mind. I will take away all your intelligence and make it subside in your own emotions, and the emotions of love and bliss. I will want you to offer it to me. I will take away everything from you. Are you ready to receive my grace? No, and that is why we sometimes are so, when we look at our own child also, look at the Maya that Swami creates. When we look at our own child, our own siblings, our own family members, we are just confined to their Annamaya Kosha and their Manomaya Kosha. When today we see in this pandemic so much of people falling sick and dying. The fellow who is building the house next door to my house, he was having fever for some time. He never realized that he had COVID. In 2 days of going to the hospital, he's declared dead. The whole work has stopped. So is that person is dead? No, that person is not dead. And that is the first lesson, that we are God within, that God is birthless and deathless. We say he is Kalatitaya Namaha, Kal Kalaya Namaha, Kal Darpanaya Namaha, Kalatitaya Namaha. We say all these words, but we don't realize that we are made of the same substance, that the essence of ours and Bhagwan is one and the same. And this is the first lesson that even Krishna, the Purna Avatar of that Dwapar Yuga, he gave Arjuna. The first lesson was only this. The Vishada of Arjuna was only for the purpose that he was seeing all the bodies and imagining the death of these bodies. He was thinking it was death of the souls. He was mixing up the body and the soul. And the first lesson that Krishna gives Arjuna and says, Arjuna, you are dialing the wrong number. Boss, look at this. I know the entire span of the lifetimes of these people, many births that they have taken before they came here on this battlefield, in this particular lifetime. And I am looking at all the births that they will take, innumerable births that they will take till the time they come back and merge in me. You are looking at one small tip of the iceberg and judging the iceberg itself. That is absolutely ignorance, Arjuna. Please look at the whole picture. Even if you can't look at the whole picture, try to imagine a bigger picture than what you are seeing now. And the faith, what Swami is telling is, you don't have faith. You don't have this faith in these words of mine. Rest. When Swami says that you also are Swami within, you also are God within, can't we hold on to this particular faith of ours that really can be true? It is always pretend, tend, and end. If you really have to end at a particular point, then we have to pretend that we have reached the point. Then we will tend to move in that particular direction. That is why the scriptures say very frantically, ask us to declare with full conviction, though it may not be true at the moment of time. Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi Soham. Why? Because the moment we say this, we start tending towards that reality. And what is a reality transformed in a human life? It transforms into love. Another defining moment that, I had was we were sitting for darshan, and I was in a first year MBA, and there was second MSc mathematics student who was sitting next to me. And Swami would come and speak to him on a number of occasions. And that day, Swami came all the way around, holding so many letters in his hands. He came close to us. He looked at this particular boy and then asked him, what do you want, boy? What do you want? And I don't know what came over this particular boy. He got up on his knees, went close to Swami and said, Swami, I want to merge in you. I want to merge in you. And Swami looked very happy with this particular request. He opened both his arms and said, come merge in me. And now the boy is so close to Bhagwan, standing on his knees, he doesn't know how to merge in Swami. So he's looking at Swami in a very quizzical way, and I'm looking and smiling at, how Swami will respond to this now, how this boy will merge in Swami. Then Swami looked towards him and said, boy, you want to merge in me? You are most welcome. But please understand, you have to first become like me. And I am only love. At least a little. At least up to a small degree, can you become like me? And I'm only love. Again, I was startled. Swami was telling us the path and the goal of spiritual life. Love. To become one with that love, which is the soul of this universe, we have to become love. And we have to give up what is not love. To give up not love is to become love. Swami says, I always look upon you as pieces of stone in which there is hidden a great idol of Lord Krishna. That is why in my mind, I know that you are capable of becoming Krishna. You're capable of becoming gods. That is why I chisel away all that is not God. And then you only realize that you always had God within you. But because of all these different sheets of the Annamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, all these tainted sheets of wrong intelligence, wrong kind of emotions, wrong kind of mental makeup, and wrong kind of bodily tendencies, we are not able to realize that we are that particular love within us. But is it possible that we could realize this in this very lifetime? It works both ways, isn't it? If the journey from east to west is possible, then the journey from west to east also is possible. If we can go up, we can always go down. If we can go out, we can also go within. This is a scientifically proven fact that there is not one dimension to our life, to anything in our life. There is not one dimension. If there is a pit, there is a mold of mud somewhere, isn't it? If there's a tall building, there's a deep foundation there somewhere. If there is these waves, that means there is a deep ocean down under. We may not be able to see it really, but we will, if we just use the basic intelligence, we will be able to decipher that if this rose is blossoming, there have to be deep roots within, which are nourishing it. It is not going to happen automatically. When a great scientist made the model of the solar system, and a friend of his came and saw that particular beautiful model, and that friend was an atheist. And the friend came and asked this great scientist, said, "Who has made this particular model? It is beautiful." And the scientist said, "No one. It just came. It was just appeared like this without anybody making it." And the atheist friend laughed and said, "Are you crazy, my dear friend? If the model is here, if the model is here, somebody would have made it. How can it just come by itself?" And then the scientist said, "When I tell you about that, if there is a creation, there has to be a creator, then why don't you believe it? And when I tell you all the time that when you are seeing the creation in front of your eyes, and that means there is a creator, it can be deciphered, it can be extrapolated very easily, then why don't you believe me?" And that is why when Swami says that you are Ananda Sarupa, you are Prema Sarupa, why don't we believe it? Why don't we hang on to our notions that we are the body, mind and intellect and some emotions? If the focus is right, then the journey will be right, and then the destiny also will be right. It is but logical. And that is why it is not important that we realize the unity in diversity to be able to have that realization. If we start having the vision of unity in diversity with our open eyes, we will be able to realize the unity in diversity within us and in the entire universe. Can't we feel the unity with the plants? They breathe, we breathe. They grow, we grow. They flower, we flower. They have progeny, we have progeny. Can't we feel can we not feel the unity with insects? Many of you will not like the idea of telling a cockroach or a lizard or an earthworm or, a bacteria or a virus that is killing people. But they also have got life. We also have got life. They also breathe. We also breathe. They also got a muscular and a respiratory system. We also have. Look at the higher animals. You'll find actually the whole universe is breathing like one. Today, scientists say the oceans are not dead. The oceans are living beings. The rivers are living beings. The clouds are living beings. The mountains are living beings. They have their own system. They have their own life. And that is why we have to respect everything in this whole universe as a living entity. And this living entity embodied, this entire universal consciousness embodied itself in the form of Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba. And how lucky are we that we are able to spend a few moments and think about him a few times and receive his grace and darshan and sambhashan and sparshanam. It is such an amazing, it's such an, nearly impossible blessing, really. One day I was sitting in the front row in the Shivratri time, and these defining moments, these moments of realization are to be contemplated upon every day, every moment of our lives. Then only they will be imbibed. Otherwise, these will remain only words that I am God, Aham Brahmasmi, Shivoham Tattvamasi. All these are mere words. Unless they are backed up with realization, they will just remain words in our life and never lead to that particular purpose for which we are born. And the only purpose that we are born is we have to go back to the source. And the source is infinite love and bliss. That is what we are constituted of. That is what actually we are made of. Other things are only sheets and covering above that particular Anandamaya Kosha. We have to remove or ignore all these koshas. And basically they are doshas only. They are not really koshas. Koshas are the real essence. The kosha is really the Anandamaya Kosha. And all these are the sheets within. And this particular experience is such a defining moment for me because it really made what seemed like an impossibility possible. And this is grace. This is absolutely what God can do for us. What we cannot do with ourselves, with our efforts for a million lifetimes, Swami can just grant us like this. And that is the meaning of grace. And that is the power of being with Bhagwan Baba and in his presence. It was Shivratri time, and Bhagwan was having the Shivlinga moving up. And I was sitting there and I was really feeling so bad, so bad. I'm praying to Swami, Swami, please don't do undergo all this trouble and torture to yourself, because none of us really are deserving of this grace of yours, of that you granting moksham. Just by seeing the Shivlinga come out, Swami said, you will be able to achieve the moksham. You'll be able to you will not have a rebirth. And that is the greatest grace, because our karmic balances of previous lifetimes are such a cement that bind our body and mind and soul together and make us plunge into birth and rebirth again and again and again in innumerable lifetimes. And if Swami says, I will remove this cement, that your body, the elements, 5 elements can go back to 5 elements and you come back to me, what can be a greater boon than that? And Swami said, just by seeing the process of the Shivlinga coming out, you will attain moksha. That means I will remove the entire cement from your house of karma and then you will be liberated. There will be no walls, no windows, no doors. Absolutely. Just like the air in the balloon will be merged in the air, in the cosmos, and no differentiation at all. That kind of a boon, Swami said, you will be granted just by seeing this. And I was looking at Bhagwan, feeling very sad and saying, Swami, no, we don't deserve this kind of a boon from you, for you to undergo all this pain and suffering for our sakes. But Swami was going through this particular process, and I was looking intently at Bhagwan. Suddenly, Swami became or constituted of golden light. And Swami slowly transformed from his human Satya Sai Baba's frame to the form of Lord Shiva. Amazing transformation. I was just, my eyes were spread, my mouth was gaping open, my tongue had turned into clay, and I was nearly not breathing, seeing the spectacle in front of my eyes. And Swami was looking so beautiful with his light colored eyes, the Jata Juta and the Ganges falling and the Sarpa and the Rudrakshas. And, and I was just looking at Bhagwan absolutely stunned and dazed, without any, semblance of what was happening and what was not happening around me. And as this particular light started encompassing all the people and all the things present in the cycle one world, everyone became constituted with this same golden light. Everything was actually imbued, made up of this very golden light, shining brilliantly with such hue which is uncomparable, which is impossible to be described in terms of words. And I'm looking dazed at Bhagwan like this. And then after a minute or so, Swami looked towards me. He turned his eye towards me and asked me to come closer. And I was not having life in my feet. I was just feeling, I am absolutely stoned by that experience. So with great difficulty, I just got up and I took a few steps towards Bhagwan. And as I'm coming closer and closer to Bhagwan, the golden light is receding, and the normal view of things as we see it with our open eyes is now taking shape. And I see Bhagwan as we see him in flesh and blood. And Swami looked towards me. And then he looked towards me and asked, are you thirsty? I could not say, I just held my hand and looked towards him. And then Swami again repeated and said, if you are thirsty, go and drink some water. Dapunte kodiga neel veli kodi neel trago. Daham gamda. That's Swami asked me in Telugu. Daham gamda. I could not speak a word. And Swami said, Dapunte kodiga veli kodi neel trago. Go and drink some water. And then I said, Swami, I'm thirsty for your love and grace. Swami said, sit down. I just sat down next to Bhagwan for the next 5 to 6 minutes time. Then looking towards me, that he found that, I had not lost my mind completely. Swami said, go and sit in your place. And I sat, and after a few minutes time, the Hiranyagarbha Lingam that came out. The origin is the destiny of our lives. When Swami brings about the Hiranyagarbha Lingam from his mouth, he's telling, this is the destiny of your life. You have to go back to the source. And the source is non-identification with anything else except with the Anandamaya Kosha. And who is going to help us? The Vijnanamaya Kosha will help us. It is not the mental aspect. It is the light of discrimination, which is fully illumined by the light of the soul falling on the intellect. Then it is Vijnanamaya. It is not just mere intellect. Intellect without having the light of the soul falling on it in completeness, shadowed intellect is not Vijnanamaya. It is only the untainted, brilliant, without a trace of ignorance and darkness. That is the kind of intelligence that will take us really make us discriminate between what is ephemeral and what is eternal. And that is another defining moment, that if you just realize, this is it. Actually, this is the reality. And what we are thinking about as a reality is absolutely humbug. It's only a mental imagination. It's all some kind of a Maya. It's all some kind of a drama or screenplay going on in front of our minds, which actually is not the reality, but it looks like so much of reality that we are totally enmeshed in it. And that is why when Swami told once this particular story, the Chinna Katha, that the war was won, and after that Lord Krishna came from Mathura to Hastinapura, where all the Pandavas were now the kings, and then he was welcomed by all the Pandavas, Yudhishthira, the Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev, Arjuna, they all welcomed, Mother Kunti welcomed. And after he was given this honorable seat and he was welcomed and his feet were washed, and they were having a discussion. And that is the time when Arjuna asked Krishna and said, Krishna, now that this particular war has been won and dharma is being established now in society, I think one of the major purpose of your avatarhood would have been fulfilled. And Krishna gave a loud laughter which stunned everybody as to why Krishna is laughing. And then Krishna looked upon the Pandavas and said, Pandavas, do you think to make you win a petty war was the purpose of my avatar? It is much more greater and broader than that. And the Pandavas were surprised. They thought, okay, now, what is the real purpose then? We thought, the whole from the childhood, we have been having this particular feud with the Kauravas, with the sons of Dhritarashtra. And now we are having won that particular kingdom finally after the war. That seemed like, that we have spent the entire lifetime till now only preparing and fighting this particular war. And now that we have won and Krishna has made us to win this particular war, it seems the purpose of Krishna's avatarhood is complete. And Krishna laughs and laughs aloud. And he says, no, Pandavas, that is not the real purpose of why I incarnate. The real purpose of my incarnation is to experience firsthand the love and surrender of my devotees. The love and surrender of my devotees. And everybody is still silent. They're not able to really understand. And then Krishna explains to the Pandavas and Kunti. And then he looked towards Kunti and said, Kunti, you remember when I was so pleased with your devotion, I asked you to ask any boon. What did you ask for? You said, oh Krishna, the only boon I want is that may the life of me and my children always be filled with challenges, difficulties, problems, roadblocks, and sorrows and pains. And Krishna said, Kunti, what kind of a boon are you asking from me? I am the Lord of the whole universes, not just this universe. Universes, I am the master. And I can grant you any boon. You are asking for such a boon that it seems like a curse. Why are you asking like this? And then Kunti folded her hand and said, oh Krishna, in good times, in happy times, in peaceful times, in contented times, we forget you. We forget our Lord. And that is why we fill our lives with challenges, pain, suffering, and sorrows. That we always take recourse in you. We always remember you. Because in easygoing times, we all forget God. We just take Him for granted. And the purpose of life, that is actually vibhakti. That is not bhakti. Vibhakti is separation. And when we have vibhakti in such comfortable good times, then we cannot call ourselves devotees. We cannot call ourselves bhaktas. And Swami always says, one day in the Shara time, Swami was giving a discourse and Swami called upon all the people who was assembled there. He said, millions of you who are present here and those who are watching me now, I am looking for one true devotee. I am looking one true devotee and I cannot see one. I cannot see even one. And we form were sitting in the front. We were thinking, Swami, I mean, not even me. I mean, you just put everybody in the same category and mataged us into non-devotee category. How come, Swami, that you don't find even one devotee? And then Swami explained and said, you call yourself that you are a devotee. Who has certified? Who has given you that on a stamp paper some certificate that you are a devotee of Bhagwan Baba? Who has guaranteed that you are a devotee? Who has given you the certificate? Where is it? Show it to me. And then Swami said, who is ready to drink the cup of poison like Meerabai now? Who is ready to jump like Prahlada? Who is ready? Nobody is ready. But you say that you are all devotees. And Swami said, for me, there is no devotee. There is only one devotion. I only know devotion. I don't know any devotee. You may give yourself, go on giving kudos and certificates and honor, or guards of honor for yourself that I am a devotee, I am a devotee, I am a devotee. I don't give anybody that kind of a certificate. Because when you are not surrendered in devotion, you are not a devotee. As much you may declare yourself to be. I have been with Swami, I have written so many books about Swami, I have given lectures with Swami. And then here you are, living in your own ego, edging God out of your life and calling yourself a devotee. Will Swami ever accept that? And that is why we have to keep testing ourselves day in and day out, day in and day out. Is my devotion increasing? Do I shed more tears for Swami than yesterday? Am I more surrendered to Swami than yesterday? Am I more in tune with his teachings today than yesterday? If yes, give yourself benefit of doubt. If no, do something about it. Isn't it? And that is why it is important that we all understand that the path of devotion is not different from path of jnana. And knowledge is true devotion. And there is no difference between the path of jnana and path of... We have to understand that. Unless we have true knowledge, we will not have true devotion. Unless we have true devotion, we will not have true knowledge. And that is why Swami says, you listen to one word of mine. Spend 10 minutes time in contemplation of that particular word. I speak one sentence, spend 1 hour in contemplation. But we don't contemplate. We just, look at, hear Swami's words, say they are wonderful, they are great, they make a lot of sense, but we never contemplate. We have to do Shravanam, then Mananam, then Nididhyasanam, till it becomes a part of you and your life. It is not to be let gone off. Love all and serve all. How many of us have really been able to implement that completely in our lives? It's a challenge of many lifetimes. It is not only a challenge for one lifetime. And this, otherwise, unless we try and implement that, our monkey minds will keep us swaying from one branch of worldliness to another, from one branch of Maya to another, and we will never see the reality in completeness. And that is why the best way is to understand the God in complete surrender of devotion. Ask and it shall be granted, Swami says. Knock and the door shall be opened. But how many of us are earnestly knocking on that particular door? How many of us are shedding tears of devotion knocking on that particular door? Swami never forgets to tell the story of Meerabai and Meerabai's devotion, and Swami will shed tears. She may have lived 5,500 to 6,000 years back. When you talk about Meerabai, Swami's eyes will be watering. What is in that kind of a devotion that even after 6,000 years, Lord is still crying for that devotee of his? And the sense of sacrifice that she embodied, really it's an example for all of us. One day I was telling about Meerabai's devotion, and he said she was served the cup of poison and she had it as the Charanamritam of her Lord Krishna. And then she was given the punishment of drinking poison and she had it with gladness. And then she walked Then she walked the path of devotion and she reached Vrindavanam, and then she knocked and the door was closed and the temple door has closed. The priest was requested to open this particular door, but he said, no, it is not possible. It is now closed and Lord is sleeping and he will get up only in the morning. And that is why you come back tomorrow morning. And Swami said, Meerabai, not able to wait to see her Lord Krishna even for one more second, she banged her head onto the door of the temple, crying, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And at that moment, Swami says, I opened the doors. Look at how Bhagwan is revealing the entire happening as if it's happening in front of his eyes. Swami said, at that moment, I opened the doors and they closed behind her. Nobody else was able to enter, not even Tulsidas ji. Only Krishna and Meera. Krishna and Krishna's Meera alone in the temple. And then Swami said, when the doors were opened in the morning by the priests, there was no one inside. There was no one inside. And that is what I ask always Swami. Swami, whatever we may have done in this lifetime, whatever we may have done, the errors, the mistakes, the good things, the bad things, the understandings, the misunderstandings. At the end of this lifetime, Swami, I want only one thing from you. That you must come and take me with a smile. If you don't come and take me with a smile, whatever I may have done in this lifetime, it's all a waste. It's all a waste. You should not plunge me into another cycle of birth and death. Even today, look at the world's condition. How will it be, for our children to be born and the grandchildren of this generation? How, in what kind of conditions will they live? Is it really worth living? Earth is not fit for living anymore for the next generation, really. So we need to find some other place, another heaven where, we can transport all our children and take them for a comfortable living. It is not, I don't want any other life. And that is why when I was even with Mata Amritananda, she came and she built this Brahmatanam temple in Vasant Kuj itself. And she came here in the year 95, 96 before I joined. And, in 1996, when she gave blessings, and I was also standing in line along with all Samiti members, and the mother, Divine Mother, she hugged me and she said, my betu, my betu, my betu, like that she said. And she gave me 2 sweets in my hands. And I was very happy to receive those sweets. And I was not looking for any other boon. And there was this particular foreigner lady who used to speak in Malayalam and translate. And then she told this lady to tell me, to ask me for anything that I wanted. And I looked towards the mother and told this lady, I said, just tell Amma that in the final moments of my lifetime, I want her to physically appear in front of me and bless me. And when she told this in Malayalam to Amma, Amma again hugged me one more time and said, my bitu, like that she said. So, yeah, ultimately it is love. My the cup of my heart has to be filled with love. And that is why if the lifetime is short, if we don't know about tomorrow, and the best way is a path of devotion. From anywhere, from anything, from a rose, fill your cup of heart with love. From having a good meal, fill your cup of heart with love. From seeing the blossoming of the flowers, of the moving of the clouds, of the mountains and the oceans, just fill your cup of heart with love. Because this cup of love will overflow. Then alone you will be upwardly moving. Then only you will become Amritasya Putraha. Then only you will become Urdhvareti. Then only your Apan Vayus will raise up to the level of the Vishuddhi, the Agya and the Sahasrara. And you realize in that particular moment your oneness with Swami. And that alone, remember the first thing that Swami told me. He said, I am God, but that is only half the story. You also are God, but you do not have faith in these words of mine. I am still struggling with that first instruction of Bhagwan to me as a student. I still don't have that complete faith in these words of Bhagwan. I am trying. Let us all, like small rivulets, come together as river Ganges. And together, in Sai Sang, let us also become Sai Sang and merge in the ocean of Sai all together. And in this respect, I am very grateful to all the organizers made it possible to have this beautiful program. And I'm also very grateful to Bhagwan, to our Shirdi Sai, for giving me this opportunity of being a part of the first and the 100th episode of this Sai Ke Sang. May we always remain Sai Ke Sang. May we all become one with Sai. May we all become the messengers of Sai. May our life be his message. And may we all implement in our lifetimes the real essence of Samasta Lokaha. Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And thank you very much for your very, very patient listening. God bless us all. Jai Sai Ram.